picked this up today, and it looks pretty cool. I'm actually pretty impressed with it. It does look really solid. It's really cool. But the it's Marvel Legends. I'll be honest. I was a little surprised about this Marvel Legends in general, because I know that they're going back to plastic packaging. So they're going to have plastic back in their packaging. I knew that was coming. There was no doubt in my mind that they couldn't do what they'd been doing. It wasn't going to last. It's not something that they can do long term. The closed boxes simply are not good. They're not good for the collector community, and in a way, they're not good for the parent community either. Because yes, I'm not going to sit here and pander the same way that Nightlick does sometimes, where he really comes down and he's like, you don't understand, it's only... I do believe that the adult collector is becoming more common, and I believe that it's taking up a bigger part of the market than it used to, and I do believe that it's expanding constantly and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I do believe that the adult market, the adult collector's market, is the one currently pushing the largest amount of growth and profit growth over time than any other market. I honestly believe that. But I don't think it's the biggest part of the market. Not yet. It's going to take some real time before it becomes such a normal thing. But for people that think that it's not ever going to become such a thing, people thought that video games were just toys. And now it's very much a common everyday practice for the common adult. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think in terms of playing video games, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think it is more common for people in the area of, say, I think it's like 28 to 35. I think that's the most common demographic of people gaming. Adults is what I'm saying. And that used to be a niche thing. It was not a thing that was normal. So now it is a thing that's normal. So these things change over time as one person becomes interested in it, as they kind of move forward, and especially with things like YouTube that started opening up the community and saying, hey, I do this. And then another person said, well, they do that, and they do just fine, and they're all growed up and everything. I don't see why I couldn't have a couple figures. And then they buy some figures, and they start talking about it. Then another collector says, dude, I do that too. I never thought about doing YouTube. And then it became more of a common practice. And now it's out there more in the open that this is something that a lot more people than we originally thought are doing. And then the conventions opened up and got bigger and bigger and bigger and things like that. So it's not outrageous at all to think that this market is continually growing in terms of the adult collector. I think it's very normal, and you would be very mistaken to believe that it's not. I don't see how you would ever think that it's not, because it most blatantly is. That being said, I noticed that when they did this, they didn't go back to the other one that I was expecting. This is very much like a retro packaging, like a full-on card with a blister old-style packaging, which I was not expecting in the least. The back of the card is pretty solid. It's got the cross-sell on it and everything. In terms of the cross-sell, if I was to do this like my other episodes that I currently do, I'm not buying any of these. I'm just not. Personally, I think that Miles is cool and he looks cool. And if my daughter wants a Miles, I will pick one up. That's her character. She likes him a lot. I like Spider-Man. I lean more towards Peter Parker. That's just where I grew up. But I'm not opposed to the idea that Spider-Man is a mantle, and it gets passed through generations. Eventually, Spider-Man is not Spider-Man because we very blatantly accepted other people as Spider-Man. It doesn't have to be Peter Parker. It can be Miguel, because that's very much already been done. And it can be things like Ben Reilly, and it can be things like all that. Now, Spider-Man is a mantle, and it's one that can easily be passed person to person, depending on spider powers. And even then, that's not necessarily true, because everybody accepted Spider-Woman, and like, she does not have Peter Parker powers. It's not the same thing. Like, and every spider person seems to be different. And yeah, I do. I really like her shoes. I like that in the new animation they gave her these actual tennis shoes. I do like the ballet shoes as well, though. This is a character that I have a couple of now. It's something that I very much like. I have almost every single one of the comic books that she was in for the time that she came out, and then across 2 or 3 of her runs, I have almost every single book that came out. I haven't been buying them lately. I've really dropped out of single issue books, and if I go back in, I'm only going to be doing things where I buy graphic novels and read full storylines, because I'm so done with single issues. And I talked about that in one of my TikTok videos recently. What's going on, Jake? But yeah, I like it a lot. In fact, it wouldn't be a bad idea to compare her alongside another one. This book, by the way, shocks me. The book that they're releasing, I wasn't expecting this. Not only did I not expect this kind of packaging from a Marvel Legends, because Marvel Legends is not known for this kind of packaging. It's simply not. But at the same time, it's also not known for creating new bucks all the time, and that's a new body. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know if I could guarantee this, but that might be a complete new mold from literally head to toe. Like, her arms seem very skinny, skinnier than most of the other female arms I've seen. Her body buck seems like it's brand new, like it might be a whole new thing. Her feet are definitely new. I haven't seen these sneaker things, and that could just be paint. That might not be all that big of a deal once I open it up and everything. But it really feels like this is a whole new buck, and you don't see that much from Marvel Legends. They haven't really been investing in new bucks. They're really quick to reuse their stuff. In all honesty, I see that a lot, and that's not me coming down on them or anything, but it just is. To pivot us all the way back, because I got way off topic here, so we're going to go all the way back. In order to pivot us back real quick, though, the big problem that I was seeing with closed boxes is not just that it's missing the window, not just that it's not good for people that are not openers. I'm an opener. This doesn't matter. They could put this in a cardboard box. I don't give a shit. I'm going to buy it if the figure is good. But even that kind of affected me, because here I could see the figure. I could see the paint app. I could see the quality. I could see that it's not a reused buck. If this figure had just been like in a closed box, chances are I might not have bought her, because I have her already. And I have one that's really good. That's a really solid figure, and I've really loved it. And I got her always throwing up the rock, because like she actually plays drums in a sweet ass rock band and everything like that. I love Spider-Gwen. I love the Gwen Stacy Spider-Gwen. I think it's so cool, and I think her attitude and everything is just so cool. She's awesome. She is. I really loved a lot of that little universe that they put me in, and seeing how the differences between her universe and the way people grew up and changed and were different things. Like the fact that the fact that Daredevil is the Kingpin in her universe, that was kind of wild. And there's so much more, but we're not going to go into all that. But had it been a closed box and I already have this, I wouldn't have bought this. There would have been no guarantee that it wasn't just this buck reused with one new head, and I'm not going to buy it simply for one new head. But it'll be interesting to kind of pit these characters or these sculpts against one another and say, hey, what's different, what works, what doesn't work, things like that. I really think that that's cool. But the closed boxes also caused another problem, not just for collectors in my frame, but also for people that were buying figures. See, people that were buying figures in general, okay? Here's the issue. People that were buying the figures that were adults, that were not buying because they were buying, but were buying for their kids. If you're walking through an area and you see this, That's a build toy. And oftentimes, more often than not, if it's in a closed box, you assume that it's a build toy. You assume, like Legos and things of that nature, this is something that you're going to build. And that's been common practice in the industry for so long that it was causing problems when they went closed box across the whole thing and they were like, this is an action figure. Most parents that were walking through, or gift givers that had no idea about toys whatsoever, and by the way, I've dealt with this before, they didn't even know. They would be like, that's the thing that you got to build or whatever. And the reason I know this is because in my job, until this year anyway, for 5 years, I worked as a photographer and videographer for a multinational corporation, like a big, big thing. And every year they would take up a collection throughout the course of the entire year. And then whatever the employees put in, this company that I worked for would match that, and then we would go to Walmart, and Walmart would put $500 or $1,000 on top of that, and we would Christmas shop for families in our area for the Salvation Army. We did it every year for 5 years, and I used to have to go on these trips and, of course, photograph it and get video and everything of the event. When I was doing this, I cannot tell you how often, I'm talking every single time, everybody would come to me and go, what is this thing? What's this? This fine? They don't know. They don't know. The common adult, the common gift giver doesn't know if they're buying something for a kid and whether that's like a kid's toy or an adult thing, or like, okay, one of the kids that we had, a family, had wrote down Power Rangers. That's all he wanted, Power Rangers. Kind of fell into my area of expertise, and we went over and we started looking at the figures. And there's these ones that are open, they're window boxes, and the window box has Power Rangers, and you could very blatantly see them, but they're expensive. They're more expensive than the other figures. And then there was a closed box, and that closed box also had Power Rangers, the original Mighty Morphin line, basically every single one you can get. And the issue was when they saw that, I even heard him say it to me while I was standing right there, because I was talking about some other toy. I was talking about Superpowers, the Superpowers line. And as I was talking about it with one person, the other guy that was behind me tapped me on my shoulders. He goes, hey, he says, I'm thinking about getting these two Rangers because, like, I could see what it is. It's like two Rangers or whatever. He's like, but what is this thing? And I turn around and I see it. And it's just the closed box, different kind of Ranger. It's a little cheaper. It's not the Lightning collection, but you get the idea. And I looked at it and I said, it's just a Power Ranger action figure. And he says, yeah, but is this like one you'd have to snap together or something like that you'd have to build? Because it's in a box so you don't lose the pieces, right? And that's what I'm getting at, is that these closed boxes were causing infinite problems throughout the industry because the normal people that shop were unable to discern A, its value, or B, what it was even for. Do you build that thing? Is that a toy? Does it only come with that? Does it look like that? I don't know. And for the most part, that was another problem too, because sometimes what you would buy, what was on the box, what looked like was on the box, wasn't what you would actually be buying. It wasn't. There were times that I saw a couple of figures that were bought, and when you would buy these figures, they were not what you think they are. Like they would claim to be pinless and look pinless, and then they'd have pins in them, and little issues like that. But small issues like that caused real problems with boxed versus unboxed. But yeah, that's why this interests me to no end. Is that this is that classic looking, more retro card, and I didn't expect them to go back to that. I expect them very much to just go back to the windowed box, like a closed-in box. But yeah, pretty cool. It's a pretty cool looking figure. I'm definitely interested to open it, check it out. I really want to look at that face. The face is what got me to buy it. almost right off the bat. As I say, that's just a really terrific representation of the face from the new movie that's coming out. It just looks great. It actually does. That is a tremendous face. Let me see if I can't get close here. Whoop. See it? Yeah, that is a great face. Look at that. That is fantastic. It's so good. It's so good. A couple of things that I could say if I compared it right off the bat is I kind of like the shading and color differential on this. And of course, I may end up comparing the body caps. But I also will 100% keep in mind while I do that these are not the same kind of figures. They're not. One is very much made to be from the comic books, and that's why it looks that way. Specifically Spider-Verse, if I'm not mistaken. That's where I got the Gwen Stacy, the Spider-Gwen that I have currently. I believe it was the one that was released in the Spider-Verse wave. And then the other one is very much made to be from the Spider-Verse Across the Spider-Verse movie. And those are two very different monsters. They're just different monsters, okay? They're not the same thing. They were never meant to be the same thing. And that's why I was surprised to see the entire new Buck, because it wasn't just Gwen that got the new Buck. It was all of them that got it. I mean, all of them. Every single one of the characters released in Marvel Legends for Across the Spider-Verse looks like they have new bodies, built from the ground up, all new molds, all new sculpts. I'm really, really surprised about that. Like, it really shocked me. Still has the haircut from when my... Yeah, well, it's possible that could be a form of character continuity for the movies, which is actually cool, that when Miles had that... When Miles accidentally tore her hair out, and then now she just kind of embraces that look. She does the one-side shave and whatnot, which I actually think is cool. It's a little piece of character continuity, and this is only supposed to be like a year later. It looks like they went through a bit of a growth spurt. I would have to rewatch that movie, but I feel like it looks, the animation-wise, like the characters grew up a lot. But from what I'm hearing, I think this movie only takes place like 1 year later. So... But they're young. They're young. And if we're looking at characters that are 15, 16 years old, you have no idea when a growth spurt hits, how much they're going to change from 1 year to the other, how much developing and things go on. Look, when you're young and you're going through that part in your life, a lot of things change really, really fast. I know this will blow people's minds, but I was there once. I was a teenage Bill. I was a young man once, believe it or not. Feels years ago now, but I was there once, and I was a-changin'. Just from 1 year to the other, I can look at my old yearbooks and be like, damn, really? Like, from 1 year to the next, the pictures, it's crazy how much you change during that time. So it's not unwarranted that these characters look somewhat dramatically different than they did in the last movie if an entire year has gone by. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're young, that could be a lot of time in terms of the way that you look or the identity that you currently portray. It's not unreasonable. I saw Miles while I was there, and I already talked about this at the start where I said that she's the only one that I'm really going to get from the line so far. I don't dislike Miles at all. That's not what I'm saying. Don't take that the wrong way. It's just that I pick and choose what I buy from lines very carefully right now. I'm somewhat being stingy. Because until I basically rip that down and put in a whole new shelf and then expand back through that way and then put in 2 shelves over there, that's what I got. So I'm only buying exactly what I want, when I want, how much I want. And I'm also getting rid of stuff on a continual basis. I'm taking things off the shelf that no longer hit me the way that they used to hit me, are no longer a big deal to me. And I'm selling stuff, and I'm trying to get myself into a state where I actually go to the toy shows as a loose vendor. And because I'm doing that, I'm very careful with what I buy. And if I have to buy characters from this set, the one that I want is Spider-Gwen. That's the one I want. It's the one I exclusively want. That's the one I bought first. And if something else really catches my eye, then I'll get it. But I looked at the other ones that I saw at the store today, and nothing made me go, oh no, except for Spider-Gwen. That's the one that I specifically want. So what's up, Chris? You're in here too? That's cool. Long hair Bill. Yeah, long hair Bill to short hair Bill to no hair Bill to Stone Cold Bill Logan. No, yeah, it's true. I changed dramatically in 1 year, and I'm a grown-ass man. But I lost like, oh my God, I lost 100 pounds and went completely bald in a year. In 1 year. It's crazy how much you can change in a year. So it doesn't bother me at all that they look dramatically different.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.